3 years ago, I decided to destroy my entire YouTube channel accounts, which were doing seemingly pretty good. This decision has surprised you, and rightfully so, given my past success and the incomplete information I have left behind me before taking the leave. Today I feel quite at ease with it, so I'm coming back to you with this very long due video, as you guys have not wasted time to wonder what the hell happened and painting me as someone I barely recognize myself in. I'm really happy to come back. I really missed this. This video is going to be quite long, so feel free to grab a cup of coffee, sit back. It's story time. Before we begin, you have to know that I started the internet long before what it is today, in the era of Netscape, floppy disks, where we as users had to make personas of ourselves to protect our personal lives. Now, times have changed from an extreme to another, and nowadays in this active society, if you don't have an Instagram account or any online presence, really, you're either dead or you're trying to hide something bad about yourself. And in my case, it was neither of them. I tried my entire life to keep a clear-cut limit between what I'm posting and creating on the internet and my private life. And it pains me to say, it took me so long to realize that I would reach the point where whatever I was doing, whatever I was saying, there would always be someone to uncover the slightest pieces of information and tape them to compose a canvas, but without the full colors. Plus, with the advent of AI and the advanced algorithms out there, it is easier than ever to mine information. So instead of letting people use the crumbs that I have left behind me, today I'm putting everything on the table. I'm giving you everything that is to know about me, where I'm coming from, my whereabouts, my project, etc. With this, I hope that the people who followed me for so many years finally get the answers to the questions, and those who are joining us, may you consider this video as a well of information. All right, first things first, my name is Ness, just like the console. My real name is Anas in Arabic and Anis in French. I'm Algerian and French, and professionally, I'm an embedded systems and blockchain engineer as well as a developer. I used to work in big companies such as Renault, Intel, Radio France, and eventually I became my own boss and I became an entrepreneur. It worked better for me. Now, what's really specific about me, as you may know, is that I'm really crazy about sounds and recordings since the day I was born. I used to throw tantrums to my parents just to hold a cassette in my hands. I guess I was fascinated by the possibility to freeze performances in time and replaying them at a later date. I'm Muslim, and something people do not know about me is that my very first musical influences were not video games. They were religious songs from artists such as Sami Yusuf, Maher Zain, etc. And as a matter of fact, the very first production I've ever made in my life was a religious EP when I was 16 years of age, I think. I sang and played guitar since the day I can remember. I used to make community concerts. Needless to say, I bathed into sounds and recordings my entire life. Parallel to this, I'm a tech enthusiast. I'm really passionate about the advances of human beings in tech, and I've always had my ways with computers and programming and robots. This is what made me an engineer. Speaking of engineering, I didn't have to work much to get good grades when I was in engineering school, so there was this period of time where I was really bored. Another time, there was this YouTube channel that I used to watch, which is called Smooth McGroove. It's a guy who makes a cappella version of video game music, and I made a bet with my friends. I said, guys, I'm gonna make the exact same thing with the kazoo. And ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly how this very YouTube channel has started, as a complete joke and laughs with my friends. I've made the first video, then I made the second, then after the third, my oh my, have I not expected the amount of success and fame that came with it. News articles, people asking to come and perform, sponsorships, it was crazy. And I thought, maybe if I continue to push the button and steer the content to another direction, maybe we can arrive to someplace nice where I could do stuff that I could actually be proud of. And here I go. I started to incorporate video game and anime music. You guys loved it. No one knew I could actually sing and produce stuff. Then I stopped doing kazoo covers altogether, and there you are. But unfortunately, along the way, progressively, things went bad in this channel, and some major changes happened that made me quit everything altogether. While I was in the process of carrying my content to the place I wanted it to be, I noticed that the more I was doing and the more I had to do just to keep the ball rolling, which didn't make sense to me since I was objectively becoming better and better at my craft with time and making better and better music. I honestly never complained about it. I was willing to put in the work and adapt. I've always been a fighter in my life. But if you remember, so many times I had to take a break from socials to breathe and recover. Or so many times I would post a tweet and say, I didn't finish my video this Sunday, I will post it whenever. Behind the scenes, I honestly had no life of mine. I was just working, making music, sleeping, working, making music, sleep. If it was for something that I actually wanted to do and be passionate about, I would not care the slightest. I would be fueled like a rocket. But unknowingly, I was destroying myself and wasting my life and energy in something I couldn't see myself do forever. So why the hell was I becoming better as a professional and as a person and had the exact opposite outcome whenever I was relying on platforms such as YouTube and Spotify, etc. Today, along with 99% of my fellow creators out there, I can confidently say that we were playing a rigged game. Here's why. I was posting weekly videos to YouTube like I was adding coal to the fire, dreaming of the day I would be able to sustain myself with it and do whatever I wanted with this channel. But a key change happened to YouTube, social media, and platforms in general. It seems so benign, but it made the entire difference. Hear me out. The subscribe button was not working anymore, and the platform switched from organic content push to algorithmic content push. Simply put, creators were now pushing their content to everyone and anyone regardless of anything. And while it sounds quite interesting for reach, for example, this very decision has destroyed creativity overall and made everyone chase numbers and copy each other instead. This change meant three things. One, you are now competing for attention with the entire world, and the content itself doesn't matter as long as the eyeballs are still fixed on the content. It doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. It doesn't matter if you made the most beautiful piece ever. You are paid to keep people glued to the screens. That's it. Two, because the follow/subscribe button is not functional, there couldn't be real deep communities, which is quite ironic for something called social media. Since the content is now pushed to a select random people every time you post, and since the users themselves are closed off to their own content bubble, you cannot nurture a community of like-minded people anymore because human beings do not want to go outside of their comfort zone. This is how we are. And three, the content itself was in a slippery slope towards losing its value entirely. Simply have a look at TikTok, where everything is coming from. It's about the dopamine shot in the brain. It's about being the dirtiest, the most shocking. And sadly, this is not limited to internet or social media. This has become a global phenomenon. The result is the attention span of people has completely sank. People would not care about you as long as you showed numbers, even if those numbers were utter lies, or if your content was complete dirt, not to say another word. See what has become of the new generation because of this. Sad, depressed, unhappy. I've read somewhere or seen somewhere that Gen Z is actually aging times and times faster than millennials. It says a lot about this situation. So many of us simply quit YouTube completely because we have stripped humanity and value and creativity out of what we are doing, and we have become cogs in a machine to feed the multi-billion companies. Back to my story. I was still working as an engineer and a developer to make a living and making the audio and music work on the side in the hopes of becoming the best producer I can be and someday make the best pieces the earth has ever seen. Now, the switch that we've talked about earlier was really clear for me. At one point, I had to do way more to at least sustain the results I had before. The community that I had when I began was not there anymore. Not because they left, but because they were complaining that the content was not reaching them at all. And for me to advance in the quest of growing my YouTube channel, my business, etc., I had to do way more of the marketing and influencing stuff, which was too much of an investment for something that, again, I did not want to do. So someday I had to answer the question, should I continue into this madness and completely lose my sanity, my values, my integrity, or take the hard path, eat some dirt for a while, and figure things out? I chose the hard path. I decided to leave everything in the hands of God, start anew as hard as it could be, and once this decision was made, I also decided to make my final work, which was Against the Stream on Kickstarter, Tsuko G's debut and final album. It was my goodbye. Some people understood, some people didn't, but it was also a way for me to get everything out of my system one last time before I take the leave. Here I am, alone by myself, figuring things out. hitting the gym like there was no tomorrow and punching people in MMA fights, I had lost the one thing that I loved in my life. I had to rewire my brain, and I had this enormous frustration down my throat. I knew something had to be done, but not only for me, but for all the musician peers out there who were not living to their potential because, let's face it, the art that they were doing was not art, it was a fight for attention. I became really obsessed about the matter. I started to eat every bit of technological book I could lay my hands on to help me advance on this quest. Heck, I even went back to university. I was that determined. I was a programmer, sure, but I programmed robots, cars, and rockets. I absolutely had to update my knowledge in the web dev section. And I did, and I'm really happy I did. Here's the juicy part I know many of you came for. Along the way, I rediscovered a technology called the blockchain, which is essentially what enables cryptocurrency and NFTs. And for me, it was my eureka moment. Think about it. Music is what it is today because it has lost its creativity, its value, because platforms are doing whatever they want with our art. Ownership. And don't even get me started with the astronomical number of copying lawsuits, the breach contracts, the miserly pay by the streaming platforms, the delayed payments. I will not give you a lesson about blockchain. Google and GPT will do this for you, but it is the obvious solution. You have to know that blockchain and the crypto space is actually divided in two worlds. The casino, like I like to call it, where that you know that 99% of you know, where you go to speculate on memes, play roulette with your money and rug pull people. And there's this other world where I belong to, which is the technological world, where people build stuff and advance human beings. Look, we musicians do not need any organizations to publish music nowadays. Technology has been so amazing to us lately. We do not need a fancy recording studio. We need a microphone, an interface, a pair of headphones, and we're off to breaking the charts. Why are we bowing to the platforms that use our art to strive in a saturated market? We're the ones making music. We get to decide, right? The reason why musicians eat so much dirt nowadays is that musicians are creators. They're not problem solvers. And yours truly happened to be both at the same time. So I was like, let's fix this. But seriously, I sincerely believe that if you give a platform to creators that they actually enjoy using, and you make them responsible for the entire process of creating, publishing, and getting the money, and pay them as much as you can, you will not be ready for the amazing art that they can bring to the world. Because this is what we want, right? Happy people, beautiful art. So there I go, with the heart full of determination and conviction. I assembled a team and I opened my startup, Meteora, the ultimate audio platform, which after 2 years of tears, blood, and sweat became Auda, the Audio Arcadia. Another choice that you guys did not seem to understand is deleting my entire YouTube channel. I'm very grateful that what happened. I'm very grateful that I had you as a big community, and I'm very grateful that this whole adventure made me grow as a person and as a professional. But as I said so many times for so many years, this is not what I wanted to do, and this is not what I wanted people to know me for. These videos and this YouTube channel were made in a time where YouTube was only understood by a close circle of users, and today, YouTube is the new TV. So when things went south, when people started to associate real life with the internet, and when people recognized me on the street and judged my entire me for being the guy who makes video game covers on the internet, I was done. I destroyed my entire YouTube channel, never looked back, never had any regrets. I ask you to be respectful of this decision. I know that whatever goes on the internet stays on the internet, but I still have the right to decide what becomes of my works. So do not repost the videos. I will maybe select a couple of videos here and there to showcase what the channel was in the beginning, but that's it. Of course, I know that you genuinely loved what I did, so I purposely left my works on Spotify and Amazon and Google Play, etc., so you can find them whenever you wanted to. Until 6 months ago. To post my music on streaming platforms, I used a service called DistroKid, because here we go again. Here's another weird thing about the industry. You cannot put your music directly on the platforms unless you know the CEO of the company or someone along those lines. You have to go through a third-party provider. And lo and behold, DistroKid decided to delete my entire catalog for absolutely no reason. All of the music that I still held the copyrights to are simply gone. I woke up one day to an email saying, hey, we don't feel like it anymore, so okay, thanks, bye. What? Of course, I sent many emails asking for details and asking the actual reason for the deletion, to which they simply responded with weird emails like, yeah, it's not my fault, it's the other guy, I'm just an employee here, sorry, man. Or they simply did not respond at all. And this is mind-blowing when you know that I had more than 600,000 monthly listeners and hundreds of millions of streams, and people were still listening to the music up to this day. Was it because I started a platform on my own, or was it because I distanced myself from socials? I don't know. We'll never do. But this is the thing. If they don't like you, they're gonna kill you. They did it, and they'll do it again. Imagine if I relied on this to make a living. People do. Imagine waking up one day to an email saying, we don't like you, you're dead now. So here's another event that cemented my decision to go my own way and aim for the greatest cause. So from now on, all of the music that I'm going to produce are going to YouTube for the video part and on Auda for the audio part. I'm coming back 100% on the internet and socials. There's no way to avoid it. I tried. People thought I was dead. I might have forgotten to speak about things in this video, so I will maybe do a Q&A or a live session on Instagram, so go follow me there as fast as you can. Finally, if you made it up to this point in the video, thank you very much. You're amazing. Cheers. Am I in need of a reel to be good again? If I don't post, I might be dead. Scrolling their feed, I